Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Film Seizure. I'm Jason Oliver, and joined with me today, these two guys you may have heard of. First one is Chuck Moore. Chuck, hey, say hello.
Hey, everybody. How are you today?
And then the other jerk is Jeff Arbuckle.
Hey, what's up? I feel really good. I feel really good.
Yeah,
I feel kind of invincible.
I've got a really positive feeling about this. Well, if you didn't catch that reference, this week's episode is 1986's Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes.
We've been kind of circling this one for a little while, I think.
I think this is one that has been kind of on a short list for probably 200 episodes.
Yeah, agreed. It was only a matter of time, and we finally got there. Boy, I mean, this movie is just a pure delight, and it never seems to wear out its welcome. Whenever I watch it, it's like the perfect amusement park ride. It's like 99 minutes of bliss.
Yeah, for me, it's like I know all of the lines, like at least closely. My memory's terrible, so I can get most of the lines out, but it almost always feels like it's the first time. Like that's the kind of joy I get from it. It's like experiencing it over again every time I watch it.
Yeah. It really is kind of one of those ones where, it's kind of hard to be tired of watching this movie. And yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it probably for some years. I mean, I don't know how many. Probably watched it. I feel like I saw it at Flicks maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember when you went to that. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. I did.
Yeah, because you were like, "Hey, I'm gonna go see Big Trouble in Little China."
Oh, you know what? I bet I have a glass someplace. I've seen so many of those Flicks Fan Fest movies that I don't remember which ones I got to now.
I know I saw it in the last 2 years, and this is how I showed the kids, and then I told Stephanie that we needed to watch it for the show, and asked her if she wanted to watch it. She's like, "We just watched that," so. We just watched that for her is like the last 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it could be almost 3 years ago and she'll be like, we just watched that. And I'm like, yeah, like in 2018, you weirdo. But she actually watched it with me again, even though she said we just watched that. So she feels like this is one of those movies. I don't know how much I've talked about this, but Stephanie says everything is okay.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much her MO. Like I can think she likes something if she says okay. This one she's like, it's good. So I think she really likes it.
So that's high praise. Yeah.
She really likes it.
She really likes this one. It's so weird for me living with someone who does, and this is not a complaint, but she doesn't talk about movies the same way I do. She doesn't think about them the same way I do. That's why this is so great for me, because I could talk for, an hour or whatever time about stuff with you guys, but I digress. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say that this is one of those movies, kind of like The Goonies, where I just feel like it's always been with me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't remember the first time I saw it, really. I definitely didn't see it in the theater, but I just feel like I've never not known this movie.
Well,
right?
yeah. I mean, like, I kind of vaguely remember it being maybe on cable the first time I see it. There are specific scenes that I definitely remember, and I always feel like for a really, really long time, I always started watching this when they're in the alley, when the two gangs start fighting.
Yeah.
That's a really memorable scene to me. The end with the monster crawling out, and I have a interesting take on what's going to happen with that monster in my head canon post movie. and well, okay, I'll just say he becomes Jack's pet. It's like
I could see it. Like,
why not?
Like BJ and the Bear or something, right?
Sure. Sure. And what's the other? There's another moment in particular where I thought of it yesterday when I was watching that. I can't think of it now, but I was like, man, this is like, it's like etched on my brain. Oh, it's the guys with the eye, the little floaty Dungeons and Dragons like monster.
Oh yeah,
God, I
the
love
seer,
that guy.
Yeah,
seer or whatever he is. Yeah,
it's like a mad ball. Looks like a mad ball.
Well, he looks exactly like a Dungeons and Dragons creature. There's like a creature that's like a big blobby, but he doesn't have a bunch of eyes. He's just a big blobby, floaty head thing guy. Yeah.
This is weird. Like something I didn't realize when I was a kid because I didn't pay attention to directors. Right? Like Halloween was my first favorite horror film for sure. Maybe the first one I saw. There's a couple other in there. Like I may see it on Friday the 13th on HBO or something. But man, like Escape from New York, Christine, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, They Live. Mm-hmm. I loved all of those movies when I was a kid. The only one I missed, which we talked about before, which is probably now my favorite Carpenter film, is The Thing. Like that run in the 80s is stupid.
I mean, it's perfect.
Well, and then you even have The Fog in there, which I know that is mixed for a lot of people, but I love the look and feel of that movie.
Oh, The Fog is just a perfect ghost story.
Well, right? It's the atmosphere of it. You know, it's like it looks and feels like what it is.
I mean, honestly, you look at his entire career. He really didn't make a bad movie until Memoirs of an Invisible Man. And some people wouldn't even necessarily say it was bad per se. His first truly bad movie was Vampires. If we're being honest.
Yeah, I know
Escape from L.A. is what it is, right?
Well, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. But it's campy bad.
Yeah, Vampires is a movie. I know people who like that movie a lot. I do not. I never did.
No, I didn't either.
It's one that I watched once because of the video store, and I was like, all right, never going to watch that again. Just like with Ghost of Mars, I saw that once at the movie theater because I worked there. I was like, yep, I'm good. Never going to see that again.
Yeah. I saw them both in the movie theater too. They were, yeah.
Well, and the thing is that when we talk about like Escape from LA, I watched that somewhat recently, but I think that's when I saw it in the theater. I maybe tried to give it one more chance on VHS when it came out, and then I watched it like 20 years later because I watched Escape from New York, and I'm like, I just had a particular hair up my ass, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch the dumb one too.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, why did I do that? I'm not gonna do that anymore.
Well, I'll be honest. While we're doing this little Carpenter retrospective, of the movies he made in the 80s, Escape from New York is my least favorite. I love the character of Snake Plissken. I love the concept of that movie, but I think it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
It's a bit sacrilegious to say, but it is not my favorite. I love the score too, but
in all honesty, I don't know The Fog that well. I've seen it a couple times, but if we're comparing Escape from New York to those other movies I mentioned, Up to They Live, I would totally agree with you.
Yeah. The only reason why I'm different on that is I have more nostalgia for Escape from New York. That was one that that's another one. It's like, I don't know the first time I saw that. Yeah, I saw it because of my brothers, and
right.
Probably because one of my brothers was a big Adrienne Barbeau fan. So I saw all those Adrienne Barbeau movies of the early 80s. Yeah. So,
well, Adrienne Barbeau is a big reason why I think The Fog is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. I want her job.
I know, right?
I want to be in that lighthouse on the radio.
Just being a jerk on the radio.
Well, I don't want to be a jerk on the radio. I mean, I guess it's going to happen. But anyway, no, I don't know. I don't know which one of those would probably be my least favorite of that run. Maybe Christine, just because I just don't have the connection to that as I do the others. Although I'm not sure I've ever actually seen Starman all the way through.
It's awesome. It's way different. It's a much different kind of movie, like tugs on your heartstrings kind of film, but it's really good.
It is really good. That's one we.
It's the only movie of his that ever got an Oscar nomination.
Huh.
Yep. So to bring us out of the retrospective, I will say this.
Real quick. I was going to add, in my opinion, he has two good movies after the 80s, and that's about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
In the Mouth of Madness, and I actually do like The Village of the Damned that he did. I know a lot of people don't, but I did. So, anyway.
I don't know if Jason's frozen or reading, so I will continue here.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I was going to say, out of all these movies until like 3 years ago, Big Trouble in Little China for the 80s was definitely my favorite until I finally got around to The Thing. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
But The Thing to me is like a perfect movie, but this is Big Trouble in Little China to me is a perfect film too. There's not really anything wrong with it. So I love to talk about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we can start to kind of get into that business there.
Sorry, I had to rejoin. There I am.
That's all right. That's all right. Hey, you know what? Sometimes technology is fun.
You know, I've been having internet issues all day today, and I realized I was not connected to my boosted internet, so I fixed that problem.
Oh, good. There you go. Well, there it is.
Yeah. But you were talking about the 90s ones that were good. And yes, I agree, because you don't even have to mention them. They are awesome.
Okay. Anyway,
all right,
so
Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China. I like that this movie is grimy.
Yeah.
It is a dirty movie.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like, the Porkchop Express is a pigsty. It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
I mean, it's called the Porkchop Express. For
Fair enough.
Probably smells like a pork chop.
Yeah. There is like everything in Chinatown, which is probably a stereotype that's probably not great, but that doesn't feel particularly clean as far as like the streets or, like the storefronts are kind of ramshackle. Get used to hearing that word, because next week I'm going to say that a lot.
I would say, I was just in Chinatown a few months back, and yes, it doesn't look like that. It's pretty clean. It's really, I would guess the Chinatown of the 80s, though, was a lot different than the Chinatown of today.
Oh, yeah.
And there are a lot of those little back alleys and side streets and stuff. Chinatown isn't huge, but it's dense, right?
Yes.
And it is, it's super cool. But it's kind of gotten very touristy now.
Yeah.
All but down the main drags. It's just a bunch of like tourist shops selling you jade and shit,
Oh, yeah. That's what Chicago, I was just thinking about Chicago's Chinatown, because I went to that some many years ago, 12 years ago now. And yeah, it's like all the stuff on the main strip. It's like come and buy authentic Chinese something or another. And it's like, it's just a bunch of tchotchkes and
it's a bunch of crap you don't need. Yeah. But if you really were able to spend the time and like dig through the back alleys and get to, the little restaurants and stuff, it's all there. But
even Egg Shen is still there?
He's still there. He's doing tours and everything. Yeah, the Chinatown tour would be so short.
Well, he ended up having some stuff to do, so it's fine. he got his part fleshed out.
Yeah, I mean, I assume he was doing tours so he could keep an eye on the city.
Well,
right?
that's I mean, if he knows Lopan is around,
Yeah, every day he's driving around giving a tour and probably scoping to see what's going on.
Yep.
Probably.
So the first thing that I notice about this movie is that Kurt Russell, and apparently he wasn't too jazzed about taking this part, but he figured out a way to do this role that basically made him a dumb John Wayne, and it's fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that he is such a shitty hero.
Well, you know what makes it great is that it kind of allows it to not fall into that white savior trap. You know?
Yeah, he barely does anything.
Right. He does very little. I mean,
and when he does it, he does like when he has his biggest moment, he's got lipstick smeared all over his face.
Well, he does have it wiped off at the but before he does the big thing.
Right, but he enters that scene.
Dude, that shit kills me, man. Like in seeing it in HD now, like it's even on his teeth. It's so good.
What's great about that whole hero thing with him too, though, is like the movie sets up with Egg Shen at the courthouse saying, or not the courthouse, but the lawyer saying, with the lawyer saying, you leave Jack Burton alone, he's a hero.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So you're thinking this man is
owe him a huge debt. Yeah.
Yes. So the whole movie you're thinking, where is this hero that we were told about?
But he does it. He does do the big thing.
Yes.
But boy, he wouldn't have been able to without a lot of help from his friends.
Oh, right. Can I just say the big thing is so nicely set up?
Oh, perfectly set up.
Oh my God. I mean, it is Chekhov's bottle knife.
Bottle knife. Chekhov's reflexes.
Right. Exactly. That's such a, I mean, it's such an 80s action thing because he even has the quip about it too, right? Like, it's all in the reflexes and all of that.
Oh yeah.
And yet it is not done in an 80s way where he just does it because he's hero man. Like It was set up. I mean, it was like the breadcrumbs were given to us in the first 20 or 15 minutes or whatever,
they set up everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also is so early in the movie that you forget about it, and then you realize, oh yeah, he can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just pleasant. It's just pleasant.
I was gonna say, we should talk about the cast of characters here because my goodness, it is quite a cast of characters.
Yes.
So obviously Jack Burton, right? Or Kurt Russell, our buffoon John Wayne truck driver, which we've done a lot of truck driver movies this year. You guys notice that?
We have.
I mean, there's still one if we want to go over the top.
Oh my God, yes there is. That just feels like a movie we've covered. I don't even know why. I know we haven't, but
because it is every movie somehow and none movie. It's like it's somewhere weird limbo movie.
You got Kim Cattrall as Gracie Law, who is a lawyer named Gracie Law, which just kills me.
And is not the lawyer that ends up being used in the opening.
No,
it's
different lawyer.
Different lawyer. It's almost as if they filmed that scene later.
Yeah.
Well, you can't use Gracie Law because you can't set up Egg Shen and Kurt Russell as a villain because she would know.
Right. No, that's fair. I mean, that's totally fair. And also, there is a tiny bit of mystery to what she is and who she is. Like, we know that Dennis Dunn, Wang Chi, does not like her.
Right.
Or at least he is disparaging of her, even though I don't think he really dislikes her. I think he's like, don't trust the white lady.
She's just kind of she's a little bit of a troublemaker.
Troublemaker, right? Exactly.
She's maybe putting her nose in things that it doesn't belong, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. She also plays the role of Miss Exposition in this movie. Yes. Like anytime there is plot plotting that needs to be explained, Gracie Law's there to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's a lawyer. She's used to giving expository information.
Yes.
By the way, this was really kind of the first like her other two big movies were Porky's and Police Academy. I mean, this is before Mannequin.
Yeah.
She doesn't betray the USS Enterprise for another like 5 years. So, but like this is like early in her, like this probably helped kind of put her more on the map as a legitimate female lead. I
would say definitely. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And the Mannequin was a pretty big hit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's pretty good. Pretty good two.
Well, it took her from being a kind of a sex pot character to being an actual like desirable female lead. She should be the Mannequin. She's earned it at this point, and she's, and then that takes her to basically the rest of her career.
We should mention too that this movie was kind of a bomb. Not kind of, it was a bomb.
Yeah. Well, most of John Carpenter's movies are bombs.
Yeah, but again, became a cult classic.
Absolutely.
Made well over its money back in rentals eventually. Probably didn't even take that long, and then it was always on TV. So
yes,
yeah.
That kind of surprises me too, how you can't market this film successfully to get people to go see it. It's action. There's so much stuff you could show in a trailer that I think people would be like, I want to see that movie.
I don't know. Wonder if let me do a little bit of research. Well,
I have some speculation, and not all of it is like very savory. I don't think a 90% Asian cast helped it at the box office.
No, that probably didn't help. But also, it came out in the middle of summer of '86.
Yeah.
Where there were huge hits on either side of it.
Yeah, wasn't Aliens out around then?
Let's see here.
I'm pretty sure Aliens was out.
Well, I mean, there was Psycho 3, Under the Cherry Moon, and Howling 2, so that probably hurt.
Here we go. Cameron's Aliens came out 16 days later.
Yeah, so that was 2 weeks after that. So
any momentum it had any hope of gaining would have been cut short.
And before that, there were movies, there were relative hits like Karate Kid Part 2, Labyrinth, Running Scared, Ruthless People. That was just the week before that. So, and 2 weeks before it was Back to School. Yeah. And Ferris Bueller's Day Off was in theaters too. So it was crowded that summer. And
it's also just kind of a weird movie. I mean,
it is a weird movie. It's hard to, it's not like Top Gun, which came out in the middle of May and was probably still killing it in the theaters.
Yeah.
So it's not like, Tom Cruise flies plane, shoots, boom. It's a weird.
It's actually got a super complex plot. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
and I'm not sure it all really makes sense. I've seen this movie I don't know how many times, and I still kind of like what.
I'm still confused between. Yeah, exactly. It's like he's an old scabby guy and a magical wizard monster.
Yeah, like he's a demon, but he's also a dream, and you can only kill a dream with a dream, and what dream killed him, and I don't know what, but. But you just kind of checked all that shit at the door and have a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
It's like he is bad guy. That's all I need to know.
Right. I mean, I thought I understood it, but I'm not going to try to explain it.
Exactly.
That's too difficult. That would be harder than that one movie we watched where the sleeper agents came back and that one Italian movie. I can't remember what it was
the
called.
The sleeper agents came back.
Yeah, I had to explain that movie. It was one that you picked, Jason. Atlantis 20 something.
Oh, Raiders of Atlantis.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yes.
Raiders of Atlantis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Yeah. Woof. But anyhow, yeah, I just don't care. You know who the good guys are, and you know who the bad guys are. That's enough.
Yeah.
And you know,
Right, and even the
you
small-
know that you have your hapless hero who is kind of stuck in between the two of them, who, you know, picks the side of the good guys because because son of a bitch must pay.
Oh my God, I love that line. And by the way, that line appears in the Commodore 64 side-scrolling game. The son of a bitch
So
must
good.
pay.
That's so good.
And just to kind of put a final point on the crowded summer,
Yeah.
6 of the top 10 grossing films of 1986 were out right before, or still out, or right after this movie came. This movie just was squeezed. And
Yeah.
all of those movies, Ferris Bueller, Ruthless, all of those movies are easier to explain and market.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that said, I mean, as Jason mentioned, I'm sure this movie did fine by John Carpenter in the end. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
over the last 30 years.
Absolutely.
I mean, the one thing that's also very true starting around 1986 was you needed content for video stores and for cable. And this movie could very easily, very quickly be sold to both, probably.
Yeah.
I would love to double feature this with The Last Dragon. Last Dragon came out the year before.
Interesting.
And they kind of both have a similar charm, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have vaguely Asian overtones.
Right. I mean, not even vaguely. I would say,
Last Dragon may be more vague than the other one.
Well, what is actually, I think, interesting about Big Trouble in Little China is how much Chinese lore they tried to really use, right?
Yeah, actually, you brought up something about this. I want to hear a little bit more about this.
Well, there's a running joke that I honestly never really thought much about. Until,
The elevators?
Well, that is a running joke, yeah, but no, the running joke is all the different hells.
Right, which the elevators take you to.
Right,
of.
yeah, like that, yeah, exactly, and yeah, they all go down.
Right.
But there's a joke, and I forget who says it. It might have been what's his name?
Egg Shen?
No,
Is it Wang
Li?
it might have been Wang. Yeah, who says so Chinese have a lot of different types of hell or something like that.
Yes.
And they really do. It's called DU, and let me pull up the Wikipedia for this because it's fascinating. So there are a bunch of common Chinese names for the underworld, and hell is sort of similar to Dante's Inferno, right? With the different circles, they have different levels and chambers in hell, and this just blew my mind when I read this description. I want to find it and read this. Oh, shoot. 18 levels of hell. Okay.
That's a lot. That is way more than 7.
Right. And they're crazy. And they each have different versions too. This is a really, really wild description. So the 18 hells vary from narrative to narrative, but some commonly mentioned tortures include being steamed, being fried in oil cauldrons, being sawed into half, being run over by vehicles, being pounded in a mortar and pestle, being ground in a mill, being crushed by boulders, being made to shed blood by climbing trees or mountains of knives, having sharp objects driven into their bodies, having hooks pierced into their bodies, and being hung upside down.
Oh, that's some Clive Barker
We saw
shit.
that one.
Yeah.
We saw that
That's
one.
some Clive Barker shit. Yes, we did see that one.
Yeah.
Drowning in a pool of filthy blood, being left naked in the freezing cold, being set aflame or cast into infernos, being tied naked to a bronze cylinder with a fire lit at its base, being forced to consume boiling liquids, tongue ripping, eye gouging, teeth extraction, heart digging, disembowelment, skinning, being trampled, gored, mauled, eaten, stung, bitten, pecked, etc. by animals.
4 stars. Joe Bob says, check it out.
Exactly. It reads like Driving Totals, doesn't it?
Holy crap. That's
I
like
mean,
the Bubba Gump shrimp of...
I know. Yeah, I was going to, originally I was going to say that sounds like Wednesday, but on the other hand, it's, all those other points are it's very much like
and several of these hells are mentioned or shown in Big Trouble. And I never really connected until this viewing that this is a real Chinese lore. I mean, it is like ancient Chinese mythology.
I didn't really know that it was secret. Yeah. I didn't know that it was real lore, but I did always kind of get the hell aspect of it because of the elevators and because hell is mentioned. But I didn't know it was real stuff, which is vastly interesting after hearing that list.
It really is, and it's only like 2%.
Holy shit!
Of all of it, yeah. I mean, it's something else. It's really something else. Like the hell.
I mean, it's like all the boogeyman stories we know and all the kind of folklore we're told here when we're kids about what can happen to you if you do certain things. Someone's going to come for you or whatever. Like that just hasn't been as plainly laid out as what
it is. It's savage as fuck, man. I mean, it is some seriously dark stuff. And like even puts Grimm's fairy tales to shame.
Well, you know what makes it kind of extra dark to me is that these are things that the living can do to each other. It's not like the living can't, it's like I cannot say, Jason, you are a sinner and then burn you eternally. I can't do that to you. Yeah. But I can run you over with a vehicle.
Yeah.
Like a rickshaw back then too. That's the other thing, which that would hurt even more.
So some sociopath killer came up with this list long ago. He just did it.
Right.
He just did this shit to people. It's like, no, that's one of the hell. Sorry.
That's just one of the hell. They did bad.
Yeah, they did bad things. I judged them.
It's like the Dexter of like 5th century China or something.
Yes.
And Lo Pan is a weird one. Lo Pan is a little bit of a amalgam because he is a real entity, yeah. But kind of like a legend, right? That has been turned into this idea of a deity, but wasn't really necessarily malevolent. So that kind of got mixed up and turned around a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's based on a Chinese legend, right?
So the whole thing in this movie, Lo Pan, or at least the demon that is not named Lo Pan in this movie, I don't think, takes over Lo Pan's body, essentially lets him live forever, but decomposing constantly until he finds a green-eyed girl to sacrifice to him.
Right.
Which would then give Lo Pan back his corporeal earlier, body. Younger corporeal body. You said it.
But the girl also has to survive his 3 buddies flexing in front of them and doing a kung fu show.
Yeah,
and the burning blade
and holding the burning blade. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. No.
I always like the little show that they put on where I was like, what is this for? It's like, what's the logic of them, like, showing off how
ceremony?
I guess. I mean,
there's all sorts of this kind of ceremony.
Green eyes.
Yeah, the first double rainbow was in Big Trouble in Little China.
Double green eyes. What does it mean?
Oh my gosh. But also like there are also monsters down in Lo Pan's hangout. Yep. Like that's, I mean, Wikipedia describes one as an orangutan-like wild man. And it's like, that's a monster. And that's not a man. It's not a wild man.
I love a good derpy looking monster, and
that one is derpy.
He's a good derpy looking monster,
which is funny because okay, so the spider ant thing that comes out of the wall, it's whatever. The seer is, I don't even know if that's what it's called, but that's just what I'm calling it. The little ball, the mad ball that flies around. That looks amazing.
I love how it looks. Yeah, I agree. It looks great.
And then derpy fucking monster. Like, what was the design choice with derpy monster? Like, is it just because we're in UHD now that we're like, okay, I can see how derpy he is? But I kind of remember him looking derpy back in the day.
No, he always, you know what I always thought he looked like? I always thought he looked like the monster in the Crate and Creep show. Kind of.
I don't recall that.
But that monster is a lot scarier.
I agree with that. I agree. Yeah, he does.
But the Creep Show one is a lot scarier. So that's why I think this one is going to end up becoming Jack Burton's buddy.
I know.
He's going to go riding around town with him.
I don't think he wants to be bad. I don't.
I think he's out of a job.
So the events of this movie forced Kim Cattrall to New York, right? And it forced Han Solo and Chewbacca into space? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. Yes.
They're kind of like the Han Solo and Chewbacca of Earth, right?
That in my headcanon, absolutely.
And Kim Cattrall hangs out with, what's her name? Matthew Broderick's wife, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yes, that's it. Well, well, wait a minute. She's got to get frozen into a mannequin first.
That's
true. Good point.
And then she ends up in space for a little bit too.
And then she goes to space, yeah.
And Mr. Spock, tries to mentor her a little.
She just doesn't fit in anywhere.
No, until she gets a little older and a lot more horny.
Yep. Sorry, I totally went on a tangent there.
No, that's quite all right. I was with you on there. By the way, I am sorry that I missed Gerald Okamura as one of the hatchet men in this. I feel like I would have spotted him instantly. He's in all the types of movies I like to watch.
Which one, the bald top or the long hair?
He'd probably be the bald one, I would suspect.
I think I know who you're talking about. Can we talk about that scene in particular? Because when the truck pulls into the alley, when they're going, or do we need to go back?
To me, that scene is the whole, is like the centerpiece of this film.
It's everything.
It is. Yeah. It's everything. I mean, it looks beautiful. It looks grimy, like Jeff said. The special effects are good. The fighting is good. Like,
sets up all the factions that you need to know who they are to get through the rest of the
But do we really? Because I'm not sure I did.
Well, when you saw the colors,
the
colors they were wearing, you knew if they were good or bad.
I knew bad guy, good guy.
Bad guy's in red, good guy in yellow. I know that. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
And you know who the three? I can't remember.
Lightning,
thunder, and rain.
Thunder. Yeah. But didn't they all have?
No,
lightning?
you said that they don't.
I thought they all had lightning when they first show up.
No,
they not.
No, they come out through a portal. Rick Sanchez sends them through into the alley.
Yeah, so rain brings the rain. Thunder is the strong one. That's why he can kind of stretch his body and get Jack Burton off him later in the movie. Yeah. So lightning is the only one with lightning power. I was curious about that when you said it, but I hadn't watched it yet.
I could have swore in the alley when they showed it, they all had like lightning in their hands. But
no, they were just flipping out, and the lightning guy used the lightning to come down
to ascend. Descend.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
By the way, also another guy in part of the gang, Kari Hayayuki Tagawa. He will show up later this year when we get the James Bond month.
Oh,
I'm excited about that.
I'm not surprised someone in this movie isn't in a James Bond movie.
Yeah, but he similarly has a very small part in that James Bond movie.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But yeah, that scene, like you said, Jason, it's so wonderfully done, and even like sets up Lopan. Like, you don't need an explanation of him just because of that scene. He's basically immortal. right? Like you learn that when Jack Burton runs over him with the truck, and then he gets back up and he's like, "Oh, nice knife, Mr. Burton." Wait, he says that later. That's one of the my friends and I don't know what you call these, but like, frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The lines that are incorrectly shared for movies. My friends and I used to say, "Nice knife, Mr. Burton. Goodbye, Mr. Burton." Like it's not even close to what he says. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just love that scene.
Well, the best description of Lopan is tall guy, weird clothes. Now you see him, now you don't.
Exactly. That's all you need to know.
That's so good.
Actually, I do kind of want to back up.
Yeah, we have to back up.
We need to back up because the introduction of Gracie Law is such a red herring to the whole movie, because we never see that girl again.
No, we never do. Once. We see her once in her apartment. I mean, that's it.
That's because there is like a little bit of like a debrief or like something after the other girl is taken.
So someone explain it to me, because I'm still not sure I understand what the hell is going on with that character.
So I think Gracie Law knows
about the trafficking. She knows about the trafficking.
About the trafficking. Yeah. So she learned of this girl.
Yeah.
Who's coming to San Francisco, and she goes to protect her.
And the Lords of Death miss their chance to take her, so they take Miao Yin instead.
In the words of Jack Burton, that's what I thought.
Yes. Yes.
I want a pair of Jack Burton's knee-high boots. Those like
oh my god, they're
boots.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, they're like leather. They're like rawhide boots. It's wild, and he wears them the whole time. And they look comfy.
He tends to have like a kind of outlandish, almost proppy clothing item in all the movies he's in for Carpenter, because he has that fucking hat in the thing. Yeah, he has those boots in this. I'm trying to.
He's got the
eye patch. Yeah,
the eye patch and the duster.
Yep.
It's funny.
No, So when they miss that girl, and when
they grab a better one, they grab old Green Eyes.
Yep.
Right, which this whole thing happens by dumb luck.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when Jack Burton tries to fight one of them, he fails horribly.
Yeah, he does.
Where'd that come from? Or where'd you get that? Whatever he said.
And they make off with Miao Yin. And I almost called her Yao Ming. That's so bad.
There's one of my favorite moments in this is when he tries to hit on Gracie Law.
Yes.
And she's like, you should stand down here where I'm standing. He's like, why is that? And she says, Miller time. And he says, do you know what I have to say about Miller time? And then you never know. You never know. You never get to finish that thought.
It was probably something like, give me your best shot, I can take it, pal, or yes, sir, the check is in the mail. It was one of those.
You know what I say when it's Miller time? I'm just going to start saying that.
and then like fake, like something's going on. It's like, what? And then you just leave.
Yeah. Because that's when she gets distracted by the gang. She says, well, the
Lords of Death are here.
Lords of Death, what are they doing here? Yeah.
Lords of Death. I want to see Lords of Death and Lords of Salem battle.
Oh man, there's that cool shot in the garage.
Thanks, You're welcome.
Where they're in their sweet triangle 80s car, and it's got that kind of low camera angle, and you can see all of them in the big window, and then the cut shot to the girl in the trunk.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that looks so cool. And that's right before they try to run over Jack.
The triangle car, also known as a Camaro.
Was it a Camaro?
It's pretty close. Yeah, it's. I think it was one of those types of cars. When you say triangle car, I'm thinking like something that Total Recall drives around in.
It's like a two-door hatchback, but shaped like a triangle.
or a sports car?
Triangle.
More commonly known as a sports car.
But it looks like a triangle.
Help me out here, Chuck.
No, this is too much fun for me.
We're stuck in a logic vacuum.
You know what old Chuck Morris says at a time like this?
The check's in the mail. Imagine driving down the road and just hearing Jack Burton nonstop talking. I don't know if I'd want to tune in every night.
I would.
I don't know, man.
When some wild-eyed 8-foot-tall maniac grabs your neck, taps the back of your favorite head up against the bathroom wall, and he looks you crooked in the eye and he asks you if you paid your dues, you just stare that big sucker right in the eye and you remember what old Jack Burton always says at a time like that. Have you paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir. The check is in the mail. I would sign up for all of this all the time.
It is a 1986 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am.
There it is. So Pontiac Trans Am is pretty. Yeah, that's pretty close to
Yeah. So anyway,
it's a triangle car.
It's a triangle.
Trans Am triangle starts with the first two letters of the same.
I'm not a car guy.
Me neither. Point A to point B.
But you know what a sports car is.
I mean,
yeah,
sure.
It's a triangle.
Yes, but they look like triangles.
Speaking of triangles,
They're dynamic.
I don't have anything to say about triangles.
Oh God, you're killing me with your Jack Burtonisms that go nowhere. Let me tell you about triangles. Oh, okay. Enough of triangles. So yeah, they son of a bitch must pay, and then I love it when Wang says I hate to have to ask you, and he doesn't even let him finish. He's like, where they hang out.
Yep.
It's like, yes.
I love how, I feel like Jack has a friend like Yang in every city that he delivers something to.
Probably.
And and see, this is why a series would be fantastic, where he goes from town to town to next, adventure to the next. Sometimes
with his monster friend.
With his monster friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't a comic or something like that. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a comic.
I'm sure there's a Big Trouble comic, but not like that. Anyway. And then we get our big alley showdown. And
right.
he has to abandon his truck because they get out of the alley, but they end up in another alley right next to the alley, and that's where the Lords of Death are.
Yep.
And
they're like, you looking for us?
Yeah.
To Wang, is it Wang? No, I get the names mixed up, so someone will have to correct me. Wang Chi. Like, you're looking for us, Wang, and then they have to duck into a little, I don't know what it is, just a little building. And one of the good guys, the yellow suited good guys, is in there, and they get chased in by the Lords, and they run back to Wang Chi's restaurant where his uncle is.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. His uncle, Dennis Dunn. And I really like, no, Dennis Dunn is Wang Chi, sorry.
Yes.
I really like Donald Lee as Eddie Lee in this.
Yes.
Really like Eddie a lot. Eddie is that character that you're afraid is going to be the turncoat, right?
Yeah.
But he sets his whole persona up at the very beginning when he's introduced. He's like, this is Eddie Lee. He's our new maitre d'. And he says, well, I'm a lot more than that.
Right. Yeah. Well, and
he is a lot more than that. He's great.
And he also has a big old crush on the reporter lady, which we haven't mentioned yet.
We haven't mentioned her yet because
who the hell are you?
She's just about to show up.
Margot Litzenberger. She is there to write the story about the Lords of Death, and and she kind of gets wrapped up in all of this. And when they all get captured, she starts writing in her journal about about how dire everything is.
And it's actually pretty good writing.
It actually kind of is. The things have started to get strange, and then when they show up to try to rescue them, and then find out where Gracie was, she's like, "Oh, Gracie was what'd she call her, a tiger?" So they had to take her someplace else.
Yeah.
And
I do love that, though, because she shows up out of nowhere, and every single time I'm like, wait, who's this lady? And then Jack Burton speaks for all of us. It's so great.
Also, it's one of those little moments that I love so much in movies. When they finally do escape after being rescued, and they're going through that tunnel, that sewer tunnel, or whatever it is, wherever the water is, and Gracie's pulling each person up and asking where the next person is.
Yes.
So she pulls one person up and is like, where's Wang? Oh, he's behind me. And he pulls up Wang. Where's Eddie? Oh, Eddie's behind me. Yeah. And then she finally gets to the last one. It's like, where's Jack? And he's the last one in line. It's fantastic. I love that. It's so old-timey comedy.
It is. There's one thing we do need to mention, and I guess we don't need to go through every scene bit by bit, but they try to rescue Wang Chi, or Yao Ming, Mao Yin.
We've got our best man on the inside.
Yep. Like a Kurt Russell in his nerd glasses. All they're missing are the tape.
Oh my God! Right. Harry Swanson's my name, and excitement's my game.
You know what I'm after? I'm after a green-eyed one.
Would that be cash or check? Well, cash, I guess. It's not like it's tax deductible, is it? Oh, it's so good.
But somehow, while they're there, obviously, Lo Mein. Holy shit. David Lo Pan finds out.
David Lo Mein. I want to make a Big Trouble in Little China themed restaurant. And have the number one is the David Lo Mein.
Lo Mein. Oh, God.
And obviously, Egg Shin Young, right? I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean, you go on with this one. This is all on you.
Yeah. Lo Pan gets word that there's a green-eyed lady in Little China, and he must have her.
Yeah, so he
kidnaps her from the kidnappers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which I think this might be the first time I figured all this out last night. I didn't know who was working for who, and I was like, oh, wait. I always thought the Lords of Death stole the girl for him, but in reality, they stole it for trafficking.
No, they were doing their thing in another alley.
Yeah.
Every alley has a gang war thing going on.
Yeah.
Forget it, Chuck. It's Chinatown.
Yeah, forget it, Chuck. I probably have to piece it together every time I watch this movie. But either way, now Lo Pan has Mao Yin. Somebody else say the names for me. I'm not sure if I'm
Mao Yin.
Oh, I did. I got it right. Okay.
Yeah. Susie Pie. She was a Penthouse playmate.
Was she prior or post?
Yes, she was prior.
Yeah.
Yes, she was. She was in fact the first Asian cover girl and playmate of the year.
I'm kind of not surprised because she doesn't do a whole lot of acting in this.
Were they playmates in Penthouse? Is that right? Or are they?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Penthouse is
Penthouse Pets.
Penthouse.
I don't know anything about these magazines. Jeff will have to tell you.
Playboy Playmates.
Asian Pet of the Year.
Playboy Playmates. Penthouse Pets. Hustler Honeys.
There you go, kids. You're like the Philip Seymour Hoffman of this.
You got that one too?
You've got that
too. Magnolia reference, everyone, for those who missed that episode.
Susie Pie, while yes, was of Chinese descent, was actually U.S. She was American from like Minnesota or something.
Minnesota.
But I don't know if that's right. But
Toledo, Ohio.
Toledo, Ohio. Thank you.
No, it's almost Minnesota.
Oh, it's close enough. Midwest.
It's in the Big Ten.
But she was John Rambo's Vietnamese lady in First Blood.
Was First Blood, or was she in the second one?
No, it was First Blood.
Or First Blood, okay.
I think her scene was cut, or cut a lot. Because there's like a love scene with her and Sly.
Well, I bet there was. With yeah. You think Sly is thinking about what magazine she was in, and thinking, how do I?
Well, I mean, he was
together?
he was in Penthouse too, wasn't he? Or he was in Playgirl.
Playgirl.
Yeah. So
I don't know what those
they probably
are called.
ran in the same circles.
Playgirl fuckboys. I don't know what they're called.
But anyway, Susie, and she changed her name to her last name to Pie. Susie Pie. It's very cute. Anyway. She has like 3 lines in this movie. She's just there to look pretty.
That's what I'm saying. She didn't act much. Like,
No.
I'm not surprised they grabbed her maybe out of the magazine for her looks.
Yeah.
Maybe she has natural green eyes. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. They're probably not as green as they are in this movie.
No.
But I don't think Kim Cattrall's are either.
No, Kim Cattrall's closer to Hazel. Because I was trying to figure that out too. Because sometimes you can tell when there's contacts in that they, especially back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at Susie Pie, and don't think
You're not looking at Susie's Pie, are you?
No, I'm not looking at Susie's Pie. That's a good one though.
Chuck's just shaking his head at us.
No, I think she has light brown eyes. If I'm able to see this, they're almost they're kind of like Kim Cattrall's. They're someplace in between green and brown. But all I know is that the lady at the counter inside the whatever place said that Chinese girls don't come with green eyes.
Inside the brothel.
Yes, whatever place.
Yeah, Jeff knows everything about Penthouse Hustler and Play. I can't even speak. Jesus Christ.
but nothing about whatever places.
I don't know anything about those places.
Never been to a whatever place before.
But I've read the other 3 magazines at some point in my life.
They probably got numbers for whatever places in the back of those.
They probably do. I don't get that far in those.
Oh my God.
When they escape and they're in the sewers and Jack gets all like up in Lacey Graw's face and wanting to kiss her, he's like, "Sorry, I'm just thrilled to be alive."
Yeah. She's like, "Whatever, you're a pig, Jack Burton."
But then later he's like helping her through, and it's like, don't rub your body up against mine like that. It gets hard to think.
Yeah.
I get a little distracted.
Yeah, go ahead, Chuck. Get us back on track.
Yeah, I was going to say we should either quickly go through it or at least go through it. The first time they go after Mao Yin, it's just Jack Burton and Wang Chi.
Yeah.
And they go in as phone repairman, which is hilarious because Jack Burton just walks in with the fucking phone. He's like, "Phone service."
Good job, Jack. I think they bought it.
And then he sees the cameras and starts like, "Oh, we've seen things like this before. It's rats chewing through the wires." But this is when we get our first glimpse at the hells, right? They get in the elevator, they go down to the bottom, and they end up in the water-filled upside-down hanging people place. Mm-hmm. Which is really probably the scariest moment in this movie. I
agree. Those corpses are scary looking. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks almost modern, like good practical effects back in the 80s still look good now, and those were good practical effects.
Yep.
But they end up escaping. I'm trying to remember how.
Well, they get captured.
Right, they end up tied to the wheelchairs.
Yes, and in that room
they get brought in, and little old man David Lopan comes in.
Yeah,
and he looks like a Chef Boyardee pizza. I don't know if you guys had those growing up, but that's a very specific look when they're baked.
Okay.
It looks like him. Yeah, he's kind of like Pizza the Hut. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah. Anyway, so he comes in, and he kind of spills the beans on what his plan is.
And Jack is like, I don't get it. You were not brought upon this earth to get it.
I love how familiar Jack Burton becomes with him right away.
Yeah.
Because later he
calls him Dave.
Yeah, he's asking her about Gracie, and he's like, "You got a tongue, Dave? Ask her yourself." Because they all go in to try to rescue them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because you got Eddie Lee goes in to rescue them with the ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're not back by dawn, call the president. Oh my God, that's such a good line.
Oh, when Wang says to Jack to keep positive or something like that, he's like, all right, fine, let's just chew our way out of here. What do you want me to do? But that's when it's, I believe, Thunder who comes in. Yeah. And Jack, this is one of Jack's first big failures. He tries to, because he's still got his knife, and he tries to take him by surprise, but then Thunder just expands his body a little bit and knocks him out. But he does end up getting the upper hand. But then it's the scene where
it's the Friday the 13th scene.
Yes, he ends up back in the wheelchair, and he's going backward down that ramp. Because when they're wheeling them up that ramp in wheelchairs, that
someone's going to go down.
That somebody's going to go down that ramp in wheelchair. Yeah. And it's Jack. Backwards, screaming.
I like the way that shot too, when they're pushing them up the ramp instead of being behind them. They film from the front. Mm-hmm. So it's like super disorienting. Like you feel like you're upside down almost watching it. I don't know how to explain it. It's really disorienting.
Well, because normally you don't see things coming up a hill like that because it's slower. It's a slower movement. And so, especially in a wheelchair, you don't expect people to push people up a ramp in a wheelchair in that scenario. You expect them to be on flat surface or going down. And when you're seeing them come up, yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah. You feel discombobulated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's almost a natural Dutch angle at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Dutch angles. Jeff's using the big terms today.
I'm just that's what they call the girls in one of the other magazines. I'm just kidding.
Trying to think of the name of that magazine. If I could remember the name of those Dutch shoes, I could have come up with something, but I can't. What was I going to say?
You mean like clogs?
Yeah, I was going to come up with a clog name for the magazine, but the moment has passed. So yeah, Eddie and I can't remember his name. Eddie and Wang lock Thunder in that room. They go and meet up with Jack, and then the full escape starts, right? So they eventually...
When that whole escape doesn't when does Gracie get captured by the derpy?
At the end of this.
It's at the end, right? Because she sticks behind, and the derpy guy's looking through the painting.
Yeah, I'll take the front. You bring up the rear. You think you can handle that?
Yes, exactly. Then, and they have that great fight where Jack fails again, where Wang like beats the shit out of all the guys that run into the room, and Jack like accidentally throws his knife to the side,
and then he jumps out, and they're like, everybody's already been defeated. That's fucking great.
Yeah, he jumps out, he's like, ha, with the knife and the empty gun. So now they have to go rescue both.
Yeah, because they still haven't rescued Wang's fiance.
No, the only thing they accomplish in this rescue mission is to get someone else captured.
Yes, correct.
Multiple times.
Yeah. So right, like this is I think the second attempt, and now Gracie is also caught.
But this time they have someone who knows the score, right? They egg Shen.
Yeah.
knows what's going on there. He gets his 6 demon bag.
Well, actually, Gracie gets captured twice, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, captured, trying to, because it's 2 groups that get captured, then it's an individual that gets captured.
Yeah.
So
basically, this movie is just one prison break over and over again.
Yes.
It's a Doctor Who serial. Whatever it is to get us to 90 minutes, got to keep going. Yeah.
But yes, you're right. Now they've got to make the final battle, the final showdown. Now they've got Egg Shen. Jeez.
Egg Shen is.
It's hard.
You're with me. I can't say shit.
I love Egg Shen in this movie.
Victor Wong is the best. I love Victor Wong.
He's great. Well, the whole trying to piece together what the whole thing is, and it's coming from these different dialects of the Chinese. Because some of it's written in a Buddhist way, but I think they imply that it's written in a different dialect of Chinese, or a different language. But the commentary about look what you've left us with, all of these disjointed stuff. We got to try to figure this out. They finally get there, but that's one thing people I don't think really truly realize. China is not a unified country in lore or in language or in religion. It's it's a pieced together region.
There's so many different dialects too. They're the big ones, Mandarin and Cantonese, but there are versions of those dialects of those. It's a ancient China is no joke. It goes back thousands of years, right? It's a really rich civilization in its history, and you're going to have that, right? And it's a big area. Ancient China was massive.
Well, China today is what, the second largest country or something?
Mm-hmm.
So that's insane. It's a lot of space with a lot of different people and a lot of different backgrounds. So anyway, it's kind of interesting that there's even commentary on that in this. So he figures out what needs to happen, and and of course he's been there waiting for Lo Pan to basically this is what he's there for, kind of literally.
He's been kind of silently fighting this battle in the trenches on the margins, right? But
he knows the only way he can defeat Lo Pan is if he finds what he's looking for, and becomes corporeal again. There, I said it right this time.
Yes.
When he becomes corporate, then you can bring him down.
James Hong LLC, or James. That's his actual name, right? God, I'm all over the place.
Did either of you two get just a cool little chill seeing fucking Lo Pan on the Oscar stage?
Oh, it's great.
When Everything Everywhere at Once won. That's just neat as fuck.
He is amazing in this movie. Even when he's making fun of Kim Cattrall when she has the thing on, he's like, oh, and he does all his little voices and stuff. It's so good.
He's always been really, really nice at conventions too. Everybody I know who's ever gotten something from I think he'll actually sit there with you for a couple of minutes if you have something to say to him.
Yeah,
that's cool.
He's 94 years old now, James Hong.
Insanity.
He's had a long career. He's seen it all in Hollywood. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, gosh, he goes back, to the 50s?
Yeah, he goes back to the 50s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
650 film and television credits.
Yeah.
Woo!
Legend. Absolute legend.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
That's a lot. Anyway, he's you kind of feel his weight too a little bit. He seems like he's unbeatable.
Oh yeah.
Because he's got that, freaking magic.
And everybody even thinks he's taller than he is. He's 12 feet tall, and Jack's like, well, 7, but
right, yeah.
But yeah, we've got kind of the big showdown, right? This is the big finale, the last part of the last act. We're gonna go in with what's the name of the good gang? Do you remember?
I don't remember. Yellow Gang. We'll just call them.
Yeah,
We'll call them the
Gang.
Yellow Guys.
Yeah, they team up. You know, they piece together whoever they have left from the earlier battle because they got a lot of guys gunned down in that one.
Yeah,
They're not just bringing knives to the knife fight. They're bringing guns and knives.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, and Jack's got his little like what is that little submachine gun that he's carrying around the whole time that keeps jamming?
Yeah, right, but it's on. It makes it to the poster.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, he. Oh God, when he shoots the seer thing, he's like, "Well, you never know until you try."
It's when the first thing he does right before the big battle starts is shoot the gun in the air, and it hits the concrete and knocks himself out.
Well, the first time,
mwah, perfect,
and also the first time he sees the seer thing,
yeah,
like, oh God, oh my God, what is that? Don't tell me.
Yes,
like he goes through a whole journey in like 3 lines.
Well, and after he gets knocked out, he incapacitates himself again for the rest of the battle, almost
Right.
by putting his knife boot into that giant
like
Shogun or whatever that guy
whatever
is.
that is. Yeah.
He's for half the battle. He's stuck with that guy on his feet. Yeah,
Yep.
trying to figure out how to get him off of him.
Oh my God, Jack Burton, you chucklehead.
So
But that's when he does the whole Egg Chen is making the potion. He's like, what's that, some kind of medicine? It's gonna help us out? It's like, yes. He's like, I thought so. It's like, yes, I thought so.
We gotta drink
Everything
it.
Egg
Yes.
Chen says, yes, I thought so.
and the fact that they kind of go into battle like kind of high is great too. Like that whole elevator ride where everybody's just feeling good.
And it goes a little too long, and then Jack Burton's like, "Is it getting hot in here?" And then they cut. You feel like that's a Kurt Russell thing. Like that probably wasn't in the script.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, why haven't we cut yet?
Yeah.
Or when he tells Gracie, he's like, I can handle him. I took something.
But she kind of gets like she's kind of into it too. It's like he's finally showing his worth, but he still sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's kind of getting into it now. And like she stays like into him the rest of the way, like to the point where it's like, you big dummy, you left her behind.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, so I also like the big, like the big skull headed, like the big,
that whole room.
yeah, that whole room is awesome.
is
And the monster
badass,
guy,
yeah.
the wild man, yeah, sure, whatever, Wikipedia. He comes out of like a little sarcophagus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is like an elevator. And
Yeah, it's like I want a sarcophagus.
I
elevator.
want somebody to design a club that looks like that room with all the neon lights and everything. Oh,
call it Big Trouble.
yeah. I mean, my God, it would be so cool.
Yeah. So that whole battle happens where mostly it's not Jack doing everything.
No,
Egg
it's
Egg Shen and Wang do most of the work along with the other good guys.
Egg Shen and Lo Pan get into a fight that is completely and totally ripped off in the following year's
Spaceballs?
Masters of the Universe.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Spaceballs almost.
Well, they don't have like
with
the
the rings.
spectral. Yeah, the spectral. They
I know, but it's like the power thing, like battle.
yeah, the Schwartz.
Yeah.
But I mean, more egregiously, it's
Yeah.
how they show He-Man and Skeletor fighting.
Yeah, true.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Wolf indeed. Anyway, because when I saw that, I chuckled and I was like, "Oh fuck, it's the fucking Masters of the Universe!" Right? But this is so much better. Yeah, and like there's a little bit of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon action going on with Wang.
A little bit of wire work and stuff going on. Yep.
Oh, and I always used
it's all classic kung fu martial arts stuff happening.
When I was a little kid, it used to crack me up when they would jump and they were like still sword fighting while they were in the air, like sideways. Yeah, it kills me. It still makes me giggle to this day.
I've seen lots of movies with scenes like that, so it's like, yeah, that's a thing.
Well, it's a thing, but like it's still like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just maybe specifically how it's shot in this and how it kind of happens in this movie that makes it a little funnier too. Like it makes it more of a comedy beat.
Well, yeah, for sure. And they're doing like all these like in-air somersaults and stuff,
which is stuff we have not seen Wang do.
Well, he took something.
Well, he took something.
He took something. That's true.
But yeah, but Lo Pan escapes with. Does he escape with either of the ladies?
He takes Miao Yin up to sacrifice her,
and then he's doing the whole transformation. But that's
he
escapes. He takes her up the stairs.
Oh, you're right. He takes
when the battle starts. Gracie snaps out of it, so she can't be killed to appease the demon.
Right.
And she joins in the fight, and then he takes off with Miao.
Yeah.
And,
and he's going to sacrifice her.
Well, but he is also doesn't really want to sacrifice her.
He has to.
Well, he has to, but he is struggling with it a little bit. I take that as I think he is not like because by the time Kurt Russell gets up there, it seems like there's a different conversation happening with.
No, he says, "I love you. I don't want to sacrifice you, but I have to." It's the last thing he says to her.
Okay, well,
he's going to do it. Okay. He's going to.
Yeah, he has to do it. The problem is all the other iterations of this. Whenever he's found somebody, they haven't survived the burning sword thing.
Right. Okay.
So he hasn't been able to do this.
Yeah.
He had the out because he had 2 green-eyed girls, but now he doesn't anymore because he didn't take the blood from Gracie Law.
Yeah,
he didn't stick the needle in her, which is what would have bound her to him too.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Having 2 means he can marry one and keep her and sacrifice the other. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was going to do it the opposite originally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But one of the guys, Thunder or something, was like, "Hey, buddy, you've got your body, so kind of maybe be careful." And that's when Jack shows up, and
it's a good knife. There's a couple of things that happen at the end of this movie that go against. They kind of like go against trope almost, because you expect a huge battle here with Jack and Lo Pan, right? But in reality, it's just him missing with the knife because he sucks at life. Right? Jack sucks.
He's so dejected when he misses too.
Yeah, he's like, oh. And then Lo Pan picks it up. He's like, "It's a good knife. Goodbye, Mr. Button," and throws it at him. And he does his bottle catch, which surprises Lo Pan and throws it right in his forehead and kills him. Well, at that point, Thunder is chasing Wang around and
literally chasing them back and forth down the hallway.
Serpentine.
But when he comes out, he sees that Lo Pan is dead and he overstrengths himself to death.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to stop.
Right. And he becomes a garbage pail kid for a little bit and then he explodes.
He does.
That's really funny. And correct me if I'm wrong, Wang had already killed Rain. Yeah, he died flying into like something and explodes down in the major fight. So the only one left is Lightning.
Lightning, yeah. So Lightning's coming down the hall, and they're like, look up, and there's a hole, and they all somehow like are able to jump.
They took something.
Yeah, that's right. They took something. Duh. So they jump up out of the hole. But then they're in another chamber, and there's another hole, and this is one of my favorite lines of the movie. It's Egg Chen up there. And I forget if it's Jack or Wang who asks him, Hey, how'd you get up there? He says, wasn't easy.
Yep.
Don't worry about it, folks. It's just know that it wasn't easy.
Just a standing ovation. I mean, what a great line.
Yep. It's the easiest way to explain away like how he got up there.
It wasn't easy.
I mean, it's a real life thing. We ain't got time to explain this. It wasn't easy.
And then he gets the final kill because Wang is stuck down there and he tells him to move, and he as the lightning guy is rising through the hole, and he just drops a statue on his head and kills him.
Yeah, that'll work.
There's very not anticlimactic, but not like you'd expect anyone to go.
Very simple deaths for these people.
Yeah. And it's satisfying, which is weird because when you're leading up to this, you're expecting something epic, and then it's not.
I think it's one of the reasons why I love this movie in a lot of ways, is because nothing is belabored. Right? I hate that in movies where they just fucking belabor like the final boss fight. It's like, no, let's get to it. Yeah.
Well, also it's one of those rare instances where the big bad dies before his henchman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Dies before two of them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, dies before. Yeah. So you still have to deal with threats on the way.
But dealing with them isn't hard. One of them kills himself.
One kills himself. The other just gets a statue dropped on him.
Because even when Lightning had the upper hand, he decided to go with the showman stuff, like shooting the walls and like being all cool.
Yeah. None of that pomp and circumstance means Jack Dick. What?
Yeah. And then it does another thing at the end, which I really appreciate, and it gets me every time, is that Wang has his girl now.
Mm-hmm.
Lopan walks off, or not Lopan, Egg Shen walks off into the sunset, right? He can leave Chinatown, presumably to go do whatever he wants, take his vacation, and bring China with him. So you start to get the feeling like, oh, everyone's falling in love and getting their happy ending, and
well, yeah, because Eddie and
Eddie and the girl are in love.
Margot Litzenberger.
The reporter.
He's gonna go help her work on a title.
Oh yeah, he is.
Then you're like, okay, here's the last kiss, But instead, Jack's like, all right, I don't think I want to go on the road with you. Let me think about that. And he just fucking leaves.
Well,
and Margot's like, God, aren't you even going to kiss her goodbye? And he's like, nope.
Nope.
We really shook the pillars of heaven, didn't we, Wang?
I love that.
No horse shit, Jack.
I love it. So good. This movie, end to end, is just a joy.
It is. It is. Absolute joy.
I like it.
And it goes out with that bitchin' Coupe de Ville's Big Trouble in Little China tune. Pop quiz. Who are the members of Coupe de Ville's?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Well, John Carpenter. John Carpenter. Okay. It's his band. And the other two are Nick Castle and Tommy Lee Wallace. That's the Coupe de Ville's.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes, indeed.
A man of many talents, that John Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You got all three Halloween movies, first three Halloween movies wrapped up in that band.
Really?
Yeah, Tommy Lee Wallace.
Tommy Lee Wallace directed Halloween 3.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And Nick Castle is the Shape.
Yeah, I knew Nick Castle was the Shape. I didn't realize.
We're only missing Dick Warlock, who was Michael in the second movie and was one of the robot guys in 3.
Yeah. Maybe he was on keys in the studio.
Maybe.
No, I think Carpenter was the keys guy, wasn't he? Anyway, Coupe de Ville's. There's a music video for that, and if you haven't seen it, watch it. It is hilarious.
Awesome.
I don't know.
To watch it.
I watched while we were talking about this. I had the Commodore 64 long play of Big Trouble in Little China going. Long play for Commodore 64 game was 10 minutes.
Wow!
I was going to
give me
guess
your
22.
$40.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, if you remember in 1986, that was all still mind blowing to us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, all it is. I mean,
it's Pitfall Harry.
No, you play as either Egg, Wang, or Jack, and you're just walking along a building. Bad guy comes out, you select the guy you want to fight with, and you beat him up, and then you move on, and then you select them. It's basically Kung Fu from Nintendo if you had 3 guys to choose from to play as for each villain.
I loved Kung Fu.
I do too. God, I love that game. I'm going to play some of that tonight, as a matter of fact.
Do it. Anything else to say about Big Trouble in Little China?
Well, I mean, I guess we got to bring up that there are a couple of characters from Mortal Kombat that come straight from this.
A couple? Characters?
Well, yeah, because, so we know Raiden from the Lightning guy.
Right,
with the ceremonial.
Which is funny because Raiden is based on a Japanese god, which is okay.
Yeah. But the look, the
look is, based on,
Lightning.
Yeah. But
powers.
also, David Lopan has been credited as the original inspiration for the soul-stealing Mortal Kombat villain Shang Tsung.
That makes sense.
They probably just changed his, appearance, but the idea was from that. Yeah.
Well, Raiden was always my favorite Mortal Kombat character, probably because of Big Trouble in Little China, I would guess.
I always liked Scorpion because I wanted to do the get over here.
Yeah. He's fine too.
Apparently there was a episode of the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series that renamed Lopan Ho-Chan.
Okay.
And instead of the Rain character, they had Wind. James Hong reprises his Little China performance as the principal villain character, Ho-Chan.
Huh.
So how about
Interesting.
that? Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, it's basically a remake in Turtles fashion.
Interesting.
Nice.
Anyway, no, this is kind of an all-timer 80s kid movie. I mean, like, if you are roughly our age or a little bit younger, this is right up there for you probably should have seen this movie at some point.
It's kind of
well, my kids liked it when we watched it, so it still hits those notes.
Yeah, it still works.
It feels pretty timeless.
Yeah.
Like entrenching it in all of that kind of like pseudo mythology makes
yes, because that mythology will never die, right?
Right, exactly.
Right,
yeah. I guess I knew this, but didn't realize it this time around. I don't know what I'm saying, but what I am saying is that Carpenter didn't write this. He wrote a lot of the movies he directed.
Yeah.
This wasn't actually a gun for hire job.
Interesting.
Which is interesting. I mean, he definitely made it his own.
Yeah, well, he still put the John Carpenter's
the Carpenter font.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
but like
it made it John Carpenter's. Yeah, Big Trouble. Yeah.
Also, this was an influence on Thor Ragnarok.
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with how they portrayed the Thor character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dig it. I dig it a lot.
Yes, indeed. So what do we have next week?
We are setting off for Sweet Haven.
Sweet Haven?
Where's that?
Well, that's apparently it's in Malta. Or it was built in Malta.
It is near Malta, right?
Yeah. We're going to watch Popeye. The 1980 Popeye movie starring Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall. I got to tell you, the casting for that movie is spot on, especially once you start getting into like, who's that? Paul Dooley as Wimpy. You got the guy from Pieces as Bluto. I mean, that's. I mean, I don't know how Shelley Duvall could be cast as Olive Oil, but whatever.
Ooh, we'll talk
can't
about
get
some
them all
alternate. We'll talk about some alternate casting that almost happened next week. When
I mean, it's not going to work. It wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have worked as well. No.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about Popeye next week. So be sure to get to filmseizure.com Wednesday morning, April 26th. Will be Popeye. Also, there you can find where you can follow us, where you can subscribe to the various places in which we put the podcast, whether it's the SoundCloud and Spotify and all those good joints. Also, next week on Monday, I have Monster Mondays, and I'm going to look at the very first episode of Night Gallery. So this is the first episode of the actual series, not because I did the pilot movie some time ago. So now we're moving into the actual series itself.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a couple of good stories in there for sure. Anyway, so that Monster Mondays, that's Monday afternoon, same place, filmseizure.com. This upcoming Friday at my site, bmovieanima.com, I am giving a review of Demonoid. So check that out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, Demonoid is awesome because it's about a little demon possessed hand that goes around and latches onto people and take over.
I was trying to remember that, but it doesn't sound like I've heard that one or seen that one.
It's not great, but it's also kind of awesome because it's just a hand that's going around. It's great. Anyway. Yeah. So anyway, fun times ahead, but, really get back here on Wednesday morning. Listen to us talk about Robert Altman's Popeye.
Woo.
Woo. So until then, I think we pretty much did it for this week.
We did it.
Yeah.
All right. We did it. So until then, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jack Burton. Me. And you have been listening to Film Seizure.
Shut up, Mr. Burton.